Miami Beach. We do not talk to people. Like if you told me you had a 2-day vacation coming up, I'll say, have a nice vacation. Why don't I say, have a nice life and be done with it? Have a nice vacation. How stupid can you be? All the words we use that come from into our head are notions of right and wrong. There's some guy with a white collar that I pronounce you man and wife. Who the hell is he? I hope you feel the same way when I get through. All the things that you've been brought up to believe are strictly BS. Bad science or bullshit, depending on the language you use. Now, all that bullshit means is I can't accept what you say. Like that's bullshit. He's not talking about the shit of a boat. He's talking about the fact that he can't accept what you say. Maybe, I don't know you, maybe if you drop a pie that you bake, you might say 50 D. He might say shit. That means I'm sorry I got the pie. There's nothing to do with shit. There is no bad language. Except you've been told that certain words are bad, some are good. Who does that to you? You don't use a fork to tasting cherry juice. Use a fork to picking up meat. Use a fork any way you want to. When I went to the South Sea Islands, I was amazed at the natives. When they fell in love with a girl, they never used the word love. They stroked the whole girl from the top of the head, really like you. The whole girl. There were no fetishes. No breast men, hair men, tit men, leg men, ass men, all that's learned in this culture. That's where the guys had to get a load of that shit. In the South Pacific, they never did have to get a load of that shit. They looked at the eyes of the female, and they never collected nude pictures of women. Do you understand that? It's important that you understand, and I have to know, if there's anything I say that offends you, interrupt me right away. And ask me where do you get that information from. You will find out that anybody raised in Australia might say, how are you, mate? With that dialect. If he's raised in France, not two of us had the Eiffel Tower. His grade points, his facial expressions, everything is picked up by culture. Now, if you ask an Eskimo, say an Eskimo that never traveled or read any books, you can have anything you want. He cannot say, I want a twin-engine beach craft. He can't say that. It's outside of his experience. He can't ask for a stainless steel refrigerator or air conditioning or stainless steel. It's outside. You can only ask for things within what you've been exposed to. If you still don't understand that, then you have to go ask people today, what would you like in the future? Well, I'd like a secure job. I'd like to earn enough money to send my kids to college and maybe have a house in the country. That's not their choice. That's what they've been brought up to want. They don't want a job. A job is a pain in the ass. What do you want a job for? When you stand behind a counter in a department store, say, what can I do for you, man? She said, well, I'll take this silver and this hair lotion and this and that. You're not doing anything useful. You're not using your brain. We don't hire people to use their brain. You know how many people are standing in stores every day hoping somebody to come in and buy something? What a waste of life. For every Edison we found, imagine all the Edisons we never found. I don't say Edison was good either. He was a crook also. So listen to what I say. When I say the languages you use was designed hundreds of years ago, we need a new language that's not subject to interpretation. Whenever you read a book, if you read the Bible, somebody says, this is what Jesus meant. So I said, oh no, he meant that. The third person says, you vote for him. I'm a Lutheran. That's where you get a Lutheran, Seventh-day Adventist, a Catholic, because it's subject to interpretation. Do you understand that? Everything you say is subject to interpretation. I hope that what I'm saying will draw questions from you. It's not subject to interpretation. The language that scientists use to one another is not subject to interpretation.
Excuse me, don't scientists use like statistics usually to make their conclusions like...
I can't hear you, sir.
Those scientists usually rely on statistics to make a decision. These usually, statistical analysis, and then they draw conclusions from that. And then, as science evolves and as we make new science, we will then have better kinds of statistics or whatever, and then we'll apply those to new technology that we develop. So how do you develop a language that's not subject to interpretation of statistical interpretation?
Scientists today are commercially rewarded for being chemists or working for the drug companies or working for the aircraft companies. They're just as corrupt as anyone else. And scientists, they were scientists, they say, what makes war? Why are we going to war with Germany? What's the problem? What makes a man the way they are? They wouldn't stay in their field. Today they're chemists with scientific and chemistry. Then there's structural engineers that are scientific in structure, but they're not scientific in human relations. They know nothing about, or little about human behavior. So I'm saying there's no such thing as a scientist yet. Otherwise they'd be out here in the protests. Do you understand? I'm not talking about a world managed by scientists. I'm a world managed by scientific method. That means first you do a survey of Texas. How much arable land do you have? How much water do you have underground? After you do that survey, you can estimate how big a city can be built in that region. If it doesn't have the resources, it won't work. If you have a population far above 7 billion, there will not be enough food to go around. And there's going to be territorial disputes. Territorial disputes are not made by bad people, or fascists, or communists, or socialists, or free enterprises. They're made by social conditions called the march of events. In other words, if the media were coming toward the earth, I can assure you that all nations would stop their armies and navies and share ideas with one another to try to divert that media away from the earth. Not because they're good, but because they're all threatened. All nations will join together on any common threat if they realize it. Yes.
I'm a mother of 7 children. Which of my 5 children should not be here so that way it would reduce the population of the earth?
Roxy, I am excited. Well, all I can say, if you want a world without war, without hunger, without poverty, it has to be in accordance with the carrying capacity of the Earth's resources. If you go beyond that, you're going to have trouble. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It seems to me what you're saying is that you want fewer people, but who are you to designate who the people that should and should not be here? I'm raising wonderful, conscientious children.
No, he's not saying that at all.
I'm asking for clarification.
You have to listen and know more about this system. What he's proposing is a system based on the methods of science to produce abundance for everyone in the quickest time without polluting the earth. He's talking about a system based on the well-being of people and the environment. He's talking about a system that does not use money. As long as you use money, you'll have corruption, greed, crime, embezzlement. So he's trying to get rid of the root causes of the problem. We have enough goods and resources to take care of the entire population and even more if we use it wisely. But what we're doing today, we're doing mass killing by starvation, and we're against that. We're saying we have enough resources. If we use science and technology to the best of our ability without the monetary system to feed, house, and clothe everyone on Earth, we can do that today. That's what he's talking about.
Sometimes a person comes up to me and he says, I had 10 children. So when I say, what are they for? What are they for? Just having children is not wisdom. Some young lady said to me, this young lady said, why am I here? She told by herself. I said, you're here because you want to be believes that she was here for a purpose. Everybody wants to believe that. So I said, you're here because you want to believe that she was here for a purpose. Everybody wants to believe that. So I said, you're here because your father didn't use a condom. I had a doctor come over to our tours. Sometimes I get people coming over from all over the world to the Venus Project to find out what it's about. The doctor said, we have eyes to see with. That's the propaganda you get in school. You have eyes and you see. I said, you really believe you have eyes to see with? He said, certainly. So I took him in a dark room and said, see. You see, you have to turn the lights on. Then you can't see with your eyes. You need light to see. You have to know those things before you make any decision. The most difficult thing for people to say is, I don't know. Sometimes when you don't have any answers, how did the earth begin? Where did life come from? I don't know. Or you say a guy up in the clouds made a man and a woman. And then he told he had a snake that walked upright, according to the Bible. And the snake said, eat of the fruit of knowledge. And she did. He kicked them both out. Where's this all-loving God? He kicked them on the head and slammed the gate shut. Where's this all-loving God? God is as dumb as the people that invented him. God is more like man. A dummy. Yes.
Right now, the energy that we're feeling in the condition, because some of us aren't quite clear whether or not you believe in depopulation or whether or not the Venus Project is more of a blueprint and idea that can work and transform, or whether it's something spontaneous. And basically, my final point is the transferring from a economic system that we have now to
Very good. Yes.
in my opinion, any little increments along the way, like switching back to a reality-based
Okay.
So, two questions, again, your position on depopulation. Your position on depopulation, I'd like to know your position on that, and your position on the incremental transference from this economic system to the resource economy that the top line is concerned.
Okay. I can try to answer it. I don't always know whether I can give the person a suitable answer. He will have to let me know that. I can only say this. If we fail to base our designs on not the architect's ego, or not any president's ego, but base your design on human need. For example, when you have 1,000 passengers on an ocean liner, the person knows how much water to order and how much food to order if he knows how many passengers. If he doesn't, he can't do it. We can't build a nation unless we understand what makes people the way they are. Sometimes when I get a chance to, I've asked thousands of artists, how is it that you do it so well? The answer I usually get, I don't know. I've been drawing for years. It just seems to come to me. They don't know. I asked a child, how do you walk? Say a child about 10. He says, I used to crawl and I got up and I fell over until I learned to balance myself. That didn't tell me how he walked. So I tried to make a robot when I was 17. It kept falling over. And I couldn't make it walk right. So I said to myself, what is walking? He said, I don't know. Something I do, I don't know. So I got up like this. I had to turn up. I got up and I said, what is walking? I don't know. So I tried to walk.
Mike check!
No. I have to take the weight off one leg and free it and move it that way. Then I take the weight off this and put it on this leg and head it that way. Then I built the Fresco. When I made operational definitions of the word I use. If a person says to me, there's not enough love in the world or kindness, I think they mean well. How will we do that? I don't know. Then shut up. Unless you have a way of solving those problems. Now, people said, are some people naturally born inventors? Are they naturally born or are they made? So I went on a hunt. This is almost 75 years ago. And I asked, how do people invent things? Well, they said that in the Bible it said people tried to build a tower to heaven. And God got angry. And he made you speak French and you Italian, you Greek, so that people couldn't talk to each other. And that's what the Bible says where language came from. And this is where language comes from. Somebody banged their elbow. Oh, and ate something good. Language is the sounds you made. Somebody makes into experience. And they're cumulative. So different tribes speak different language. Nobody invents language. You can't invent language. You have to have a language before you can even think of a language. Do you understand what I'm saying? Nobody, this is going to be hard to understand, so I'll go easy with you. Nobody ever invented anything. And so I had the assistant to the dean at Princeton came to some of my seminars for tours. And he said, you think so differently. Would you mind coming to the sociology department at Princeton and present your ideas? I said they wouldn't listen to me if I did. I have no credentials. So he said, well, I'll get him to listen to you. So anyway, he did set it up. But the title of the presentation was Man Can Think or Reason. The reason I gave it that title is to make everybody angry at the university, so they all want to come, instead of just the sociology department. And that did make everybody angry. So when I got in the auditorium, it was jammed with members of different classes, engineering, chemistry, optics, physics. They were all there. And this guy got up and said, I take issue with you. I think man can think for a reason.
Okay.
So I said, give me one example, one of a man thinking. He said, there are thousands of examples. I said, I can't show anything of that. See if you can think of something man thought. He said, well, there was a time when there was no camera. Somebody had to think of a camera. This is what he brought up. So I said, did you know 1,000 years ago, if you lived in a clay hut, they had no glass windows. And if you made a little hole in the clay, if a cow was walking outside or a person and the sun was out, that cow would appear on your wall, upside down. How many of you knew that? If you go into a barn that's dark, and there's one little knot hole, and the sun is out, the cows will appear walking upside down on your wall in the barn. That's where the pinhole camera came from. It didn't come from somebody's mind. And then I began to wonder, gee, how does a man think of something brand new? How did Edison invent the electric light? Well, this is according to Edison, how he did it. He was running electric current, which existed long before Edison made the electric light. He ran current through different wires. Now, some of the wires would get red hot and glow. Oh, gee, he wasn't looking for that. He just wanted the conduction, how much resistance different metal offered. And when it would glow, he found some metals would glow brighter than others. So he bent it like the letter U and used it as a light. And he put it on his desk, and it fell over and burned a lot of his papers. And he took a glass with water in it and put the glass over it so it wouldn't fall. How many can do that? The brain can't invent electric light. You can't sit down and say, I think I'm going to invent electric light. Then they say Tesla invented the wire. How can a man living in a world where everything has a wire to make it face of a wire? It's not possible. Here's where Tesla got it. If you take a coil of wire and run an electric current through a coil, where the coil number, when you bought it from the electric store, they gave you a coil of wire. When you tested it with a battery, you ran the current through it. If you put another coil nearby, it induced the current in that without any connection. How long did you do that? It's called induction. That's where Tesla got it from. Nobody ever thought of anything brand new. I asked an American Indian, who invented the bow and arrow? You know, my great-grandfather, anything brand new. I asked an American Indian, who invented the bow and arrow? You know, my great-grandfather told me that his grandfather used to skin bears and put it out in the sun. And when he came back, the skin shrunk. So they cut leather strips with natural obsidian, natural glass. And when you cut the strip of leather, long and thin, put it out in the sun, it became short and fat. So the Indians tied it to a twig of a tree, tied it top and bottom. So when it would attempt to shrink, it would not shrink that much. But if the twig was too thin, it made a bow. So leather shrunk. Do you know what I mean? So this guy got angry in principle. He got angry at me. Yeah, what about the movie camera? Well, I said, that's going to take longer to explain. I've been spending most of my life trying to find out. He said, I got all the time in the world. So I said, the Chinese, 1,000 years ago, used to cut a girl out of paper called the dancing girl. It was like that. Her hands were like that, and her legs were together. And the Chinese made that, and they put a little girl and painted it black on the table. If you put a candle about 10 inches away from that girl, as the candle flickered, the girl danced. I don't know if you understand that. The curve of light shifts and went back, and the girl danced. If there were 3 candles there, you had 3 dancing girls. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Nobody ever sat down and invented a movie camera. They invented that. And then the Chinese made paper called bamboo paper. And they took all the pages and bound them together. And they write the Chinese character in the corner of the paper so they know what page they have different things on it. But if you happen to flip it there, that character that you wrote jumped all over the page. I don't know if you know that. How many of you know that? Thank you. Oh, one Chinese artist drew a bird with the wings and down in the corner of the pan and went and the bird did this. Do you understand that? And serially, over many, many years, the movie camera is a result of many little bits, one after the other. Nobody sits down and thinks, I'm going to make a movie camera. The brain can't do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? The whole idea that people, they say, hey, he's very imaginative, he has a great imagination. There is no such thing as imagination. All the bullshit you get in your school are false, except the scientific stuff, formulas and things that I taught, chemistry, some of it's useful. But the fact that we have eyes to see with is a myth. We have eyes and we see. Little worms have very weak eyes all over their body, but they're not all equally distributed. Sometimes more little spots are up front, so when the worm sticks his head out of the ground, if it's a bird, he pulls it back. If he has spots of eye spots all over his body, that doesn't help him when he sticks his head out of it. Do you understand? So those are the worms that survive. In school they tell you that plants grow. That's a lie. Plants can't grow unless there's sunlight, temperature, soil, rich soil, nutrients, and water. Without that, they do not go, nor can they grow. So all things are shoved by other things. The sailboat does not sail. It's acted upon by the wind. It's moved by the wind. But how did the guy invent that? He stood up one windy day in his boat, and he was pushed ashore. And he opened his shirt, and he went to the shore faster. That's where it came from. Nobody sat down and said, got to make a sailboat. There's no way the brains can do that. Think about what I'm talking about. Then you'll find out most of your schools are full of shit. They don't deal with reality. They come from an old world. And even if you have new ideas, you can't express them. Because you got to stick to the curriculum. Yes. The Bible says, honor thy father and mother. I say, honor any human being worthy of honor. Your father and mother can be full of shit too. They can be racist, bigots, everything else. So, You honor any human being worthy of honor, not Imam Muhammad. No, I don't believe in depopulation. I believe in educating the public. Why don't you put 10,000 people on the boat? Because it'll sink. The displacement of that boat determines how many people you can put on, not Fresco. And if you won't take 400 people, put in a spaceship, it won't get off the ground. You have to figure what the thrust is, how much thrust you can develop in a spaceship. And when the government came up to scientists and said, can you put a man on the moon? The first thing they said is, I don't know.
Someone has failed to sign.
What's your opinion about, like, the possibility of national?
Well, I'm going to answer that for you. I met a man that came to my session from England. He came from. He said to me, on the nature level, is what he said to me. And I said, you mean you like earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, and tornadoes? He said, no. I said, what do you mean by nature level? None of us love nature. We like certain things about nature. Does that make sense? Now, sometimes a girl says, I'm in love. I've heard those words all my life. That's another bullshit word, love. Give me a chance before you get angry. Is there anybody here that likes everything they've ever done in their lives? Well, one here. Okay. So sometimes you like yourself, sometimes a little less, sometimes what a stupid thing I did. So think of what would happen if you lived with a replica of yourself. How long will you be together? You know what I mean? That's what it means. Not what you get in books, novels, movies, all bullshit. So I'm saying there is other ways of thinking about things, but you need help. When a man takes his belt off and whips his kid, is he bad? No. He doesn't know any other way to get to them. He says, do what your daddy says. The kid doesn't, so he whips him, because his daddy whipped him. He doesn't know. And here's something else that you didn't know. Nobody ever makes a mistake in their life. And let me elaborate on that. The first guy was a chemist. He took nitric acid and glycerin and was stirring, playing with it. And the building disappeared, so did the guy. And his brother-in-law wrote, never flew with that stuff. There's no other way to know. That's what I mean by nobody ever makes a mistake. But the Frenchman used to watch birds fly. And he said, if only I could fly like a bird. So he built two wings, about 3 feet long on each side, with a sleeve in it to put his arm in to beat. And he jumped off the top of the Eiffel Tower, and he died. And his brother-in-law wrote, make wings larger next time. There is no way to know if you're going in a new direction. Do you understand that? When I say nobody ever makes a mistake in their life. You don't make a mistake. You don't know. Some Swedish chemist was trying to make metal stronger. So he mixed nickel, titanium, among other things. 50% nickel and 50% titanium, and bent it into the leather U and left it on the table near a bright lamp. And it went back, straightened itself out. And today it's called a memory metal. Nobody ever sat down and said, you've got to make metal with a memory. You can't do that. You can discover certain things and extrapolate. Do you understand that? 90% of the people wearing eyeglasses here, their eyeglasses are distorted. They're pressed on by the frame shrinks and distort your eyeglasses. I wish I had my polariscope here, but with polarized light, you can see the frame pressing on your lenses, and you see lines. Every eyeglass I've ever examined was distorted. The answer to that is make a huge frame and free silicone that flows around, so there's no local pressure on the glass. So somebody had raised their hand and said, how did Galileo invent the telescope? He didn't invent the telescope. When lightning hits sand on the beach, it fuses into a crude form of glass. I don't know how you know that. But it happened to be slightly curved when you figured out the sand got larger. So we picked up 2 of them and put them in the tube. He didn't sit down so I made the telescope so I could see the craters of the moon. That's not possible. Man cannot think or reason. They can only think within the frame of their culture. I'm not talking about a world managed by scientists. I'm a world managed by scientific method. That means first you do a survey of Texas. How much arable land do you have? How much water do you have underground? After you do that survey, you can estimate how big a city can be built in that region. If it doesn't have the resources, it won't work. If you have a population far above 7 billion, there will not be enough food to go around, and there's going to be territorial disputes. Territorial disputes are not made by bad people, or fascists, or communists, or socialists, or free enterprises. They're made by social conditions called the march of events. In other words, if the media were coming toward the earth, I can assure you that all nations would stop their armies and navies and share ideas with one another to try to divert that media away from the earth. Not because they do it, but because they're all threatened. All nations will join together on any common threat if they realize it. Yes.
I'm a mother of 7 children. Which of my 5 children should not be here so that way it would reduce the population of the earth?
Roxy, I am sorry.
Who's the mother of 7 children? Which of her children should not be here to populate the earth?
Well, all I can say, if you want a world without war, without hunger, without poverty, it has to be in accordance with the carrying capacity of the Earth's resources. If you go beyond that, you're going to have trouble. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It seems to me what you're saying is that you want fewer people, but who are you to designate who the people that should and should not be here? I'm raising wonderful, conscientious children.
No, he's not saying that at all.
I'm asking for clarification.
You have to listen and know more about this system. What he's proposing is a system based on the methods of science to produce abundance for everyone in the quickest time without polluting the earth. He's talking about a system based on the well-being of people and the environment. He's talking about a system that does not use money. As long as you use money, you'll have corruption, greed, crime, embezzlement. So he's trying to get rid of the root causes of the problem. We have enough goods and resources to take care of the entire population and even more if we use it wisely. But what we're doing today, we're doing mass killing by starvation, and we're against that. We're saying we have enough resources. If we use science and technology to the best of our ability without the monetary to feed, house, and clothe everyone on earth, we can do that today. That's what he's talking about.
Sometimes a person comes up to me and he says, I had 10 children. So when I say, what are they for? What are they for? Just having children is not wisdom. Some young lady said to me, this young lady said, why am I here? She told about herself. I said, you're here because you want to believe that she was here for a purpose. Everybody wants to believe that. So I said, you're here because your father didn't use a condom.
Wow.
I had a doctor come over to our tours. Sometimes I get people coming over from all over the world to the Venus Project to find out what it's about. The doctor said, we have eyes to see with. That's the propaganda you get in school. You have eyes and you see. I said, you really believe you have eyes to see with? He said, certainly. So I took him in a dark room and said, see. You see, you have to turn the lights on. Then you can't see with your eyes. You need light to see. You have to know those things before you make any decision. The most difficult thing for people to say is, I don't know. sometimes when you don't have any answers. How did the earth begin? Where did life come from? I don't know. Where you say a guy up at the cloud